Alright people, I think I may have found my favorite weapon and boon setup in Hades 2 so far. I actually don't know anything about what people generally consider really good in this first patch of the early access. I've just been playing and loving the game, but this specific combination of weapon and abilities that I found feels kinda busted. So my weapon of choice is Limon Oros, the twin blades. Combat feels really smooth with the twin blades. The main attack is very close range, but the Omega attack, dashing to or behind enemies, provides a lot of agility to dodge around with, and the special attack has solid range, and while not doing a lot on its own, the Omega special can provide good damage with the right boons. That's the gist of the weapon and what it does. The Omega attack of the twin blades specifically is probably my favorite out of all of the weapons, and it's going to be the focus of the boon setup I'm going to show you. So let's hop into one of my recent runs and talk about that. The first relevant boon I find in this one is a boon from Demeter about halfway through Erebus, which boosts the damage of Limon Oros's Omega attack by 75%, but adds 10 to its magic cost. So our Omega attack hits a lot harder now, but is more expensive to cast. Nothing important happens for a bit, and then close to the end of the region, I find one of the two main components of this setup. I get a Daedalus Hammer and choose Escalating Ambush, which gives my Omega attack extra flat damage each time I kill an enemy with it during an encounter, and it resets after each encounter. It's a nice upgrade and can make the Omega attack really strong if you make sure to get last hits with it, and a cool thing in this case is that you end up getting more than just 5 extra damage when you kill an enemy, because the 5 power that is added to the weapon is boosted by effects that increase attack or Omega attack damage, like the Weed Killer boon that we just got. Keep that little mechanic in mind. It's the backbone of this whole thing. We don't get the next piece of the setup for a while after this. The Hecate fight goes alright. Kronos is out here being a big ol' bitch like usual. Nothing earth-shattering. Oceanus is mostly uneventful, though it was like 2 in the morning, so I was flopping around like a complete scrub and taking way too much damage in some of the encounters and getting really pissed about it, but it's fine. I bought one of Apollo's boons from Charon and got Lucid Gain, which restores mana while I'm inside of my cast, which is useful since we're spamming the Omega attack a lot, and because Weed Killer doubled the magic cost of the ability. I fight the Serpent mini-boss and get another Apollo boon, this time the attack damage boon, which is a solid one. Apollo's attack boon isn't my favorite for this setup, and I'd much rather have Aphrodite's Flutter Strike, which works perfectly with Limon Oros's close range attack style and provides way more damage, but any attack boosting boon helps with this scaling Omega attack setup we have going, so I'll take what I can get. Scylla, or Scylla, however you're supposed to pronounce her name, is the one boss where Escalating Ambush isn't really useful at all, so it's a little slow, but my attack boost and Lunar Hex from Selene are able to get me through the boss fight and out of Oceanus without taking too much damage. The Morning Fields are the Morning Fields, dreary and gloomy, and I love them. I think the Morning Fields are awesome, actually. Running around the huge rooms, finding the major rewards, and having the option to also get smaller buffs but have to fight more enemies gives this region a super contained open world feel, which I think is really cool. Anyways, I find another Daedalus Hammer, and this is the main buff that makes this setup crazy. Explosive Ambush. It gives the Omega attack a gigantic damage steroid and a wider area of effect, but adds 20 magic to the cost of use. The ability now uses 40 magic, but if you can manage this heavy cost, it's insane. 650 damage baseline, which is already a lot even for 40 magic, and you can see here when I killed the 2 enemies at once, Escalating Ambush still went off and boosted the Omega attack by 33 damage, 32 damage, another 33 damage off of each kill, and at this point it's already doing over 700 damage. It's not like it's hard to finish off enemies and stack even further with it. So yeah, that's the basics of what I'm cooking here. With attack boosting boons and Explosive Ambush, you're cracking shields in 1 hit in the Morning Fields, killing enemies in 2, gaining more power, somehow critting for over 2500 damage, and this easily wiped out everything in the region. Like, I was just one-shotting enemies at the end of some of the encounters, and was able to stack the damage up to almost 1400 in the Morning Fields locations, which is simply ridiculous. That's pretty much the final setup. It basically slaughtered everything up until Chronos. The Infernal Beast stood basically no chance. Just the explosive ambush and damage boons are enough to chunk him big time, and during most of the boss fights, this one included, a decent amount of enemies are summoned, so it's still pretty easy to stack up a couple hundred damage onto the Omega attack for more chunkage. I think I had a pretty good chance of just getting straight past Chronos in this run, but extremely unfortunately for me, it was still early enough in this save that Eris showed up in the final region, and as you probably know, that's a big problem. Eris is basically the developer's way of slowing the player down when they begin the game to introduce some pacing so that they don't just stumble into some overpowered combination of boons and get all the way to the end on their first try or something, which would throw the story out of whack a bit, and, you know, it keeps you playing the game longer. So yeah, at the final room before Chronos, her debuff had ramped up to all enemies doing 45% more damage, and that's not great. I was able to stack my damage up on Chronos' minions and was doing over 1100 damage to him with my Omega attack, which is really good. This was literally the first Chronos fight on this save, and I think I could have given him a run for his money, but I'm not that good at this game, and his big-ass scythe hitting me for over a third of my maximum HP because of Eris means that it just took me a couple of mistakes to get myself completely eviscerated. Anyways, I still think this weapon and boon combo is insane. I have beaten Chronos with it. It's at least really fun, and usually gets me all the way to the end of a run when I get it. Try it out if you want, and let me know what you think in the comments. For now though, I'm out of here. I will see you in the next one.